Yes.
If the peace deal will be achieved, are you going to be willing to send American peacekeepers to Ukraine?
Well, we're going to work with Ukraine. We're going to work with everybody, and we're going to make sure that if there's peace, the peace is going to stay long-term. This is very long-term. We're not talking about a 2-year peace, and then we end up in this mess again. We're going to make sure that everything's good. We'll work with Russia. We're going to work with Ukraine, and we're going to make sure it works. And I think if we can get to peace, it's going to work. I have no doubt about it.
Your team has talked about security guarantees. Could that involve U.S. troops? Would you roll that out in the future?
We'll let you know that maybe later today. We're meeting with 7 great leaders of great countries also, and we'll be talking about that. They'll all be involved, but there'll be a lot of help. When it comes to security, there's going to be a lot of help. It's going to be good. They are first line of defense because they're there. They're Europe. But we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved.
Mr. President, Vladimir Putin mentioned that the war will not end without addressing the root causes of this war. Have you had an understanding what are the root causes of this war?
Well, look, the war is going to end. When it ends, I can't tell you, but the war is going to end, and this gentleman wants it to end, and Vladimir Putin wants it to end. I think the whole world is tired of it, and we're going to get it ended. It was, I've done 6 wars. I've ended 6 wars, and I thought this maybe would be the easiest one, and it's not the easiest one. It's a tough one. A lot of reasons for it, and they'll be talking about it for a long time. But they'll be talking about the others. Look, India, Pakistan. We're talking about the big places. When you look at, you just take a look at some of these wars. You go to Africa and take a look at that. Rwanda and the Congo, Republic of the Congo. That's been going on for 31 years. And so we've done a total of 6, and we really have 6, not including the fact that we obliterated, and it turned out to be a total obliteration, the nuclear, as you saw, the future nuclear capability of Iran. And this one, I think we're going to get solved also. I feel confident we're going to get it solved.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you tell us about your conversations with European leaders and what they need to see to support an end to the war?
Yeah, well, we're going to be meeting with a great representative group and 7 very powerful, very big countries, and great people, all friends of mine and friends of yours. And we're going to have some suggestions made. They want to see peace. They would like to see peace.
President
In the red.
President Trump, do you think it's fair to, for Ukraine and for Russia to achieve a lasting and durable peace if Ukraine cedes its territories that Russia hasn't yet conquered? Do you think it's a fair peace for Ukraine?
We're going to have a lasting peace. Just to answer the first part of your question, we're going to have a lasting peace. I hope it's going to be immediately. I hope it doesn't have to go on. And I think people of the whole world is going to be very happy when that's announced.
Mr. President, you posted on social media, Mr. President, a very touching letter from the First Lady, and the letter was hand-delivered to President Putin, and it calls for an end to the war, essentially, because of the children and the children's future. Why did the First Lady feel that letter was necessary? Was it because she believes that Mr. Putin is the aggressor in the war? Is a similar letter being hand-delivered to President Zelensky?
So the First Lady felt very strongly. She's watched the same thing that you watch and that I watch. I see things that you don't get to see, and it's horrible. But when she's got a great love of children, she has a wonderful son that she loves, probably more than anybody, including me. I hate to say it, but she loves her son. She loves children. And she hates to see something like this happening, and that goes for other wars too. I mean, she sees the heartbreak, the parents, the funerals that you see on television. Always funerals. We want to see something other than funerals. No, she felt it was a beautiful letter. It was very well received by him, and she did ask me to say, she would love to see this end. She would love to see it end, and she says it very openly, very proudly, and and with great sorrow because so many people have been killed.
Mr. President, last week,
Brian, go ahead, Brian.
Yes, sir. I've got a question for each of you.
Yes.
First of all, Mr. President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks
Isn't
good
that
on
nice?
you.
That's the one that attacked you last time. See, now he's I remember
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit. You see, I changed, you are not.
Maybe yours is much better. Real quickly, upon peace, God willing we get peace, are you open to holding an election in your country?
Yes, of course. We are open for election, yes. We have to do safety circumstances, and a little bit we need to work in the parliament, because during the war you can't have elections, but we can do security. We need, maybe, how to say, we need a truth, yes, everywhere, in the battlefield, in the sky, in the sea, yeah, to make possible for people to do democratic, open, legal elections.
So you say
we are ready.
during the war you can't have elections. So let me just say 3.5 years from now, so you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections. Oh, that's good. I wonder what the fake
You like
news
this idea?
Yeah.
No.
Speaking of news, I got a question for you. This sounds insane for me even to ask this, but do you think the American media really doesn't even want a peace deal because they've seen they've been so critical of you every step of the way as you lead the charge for peace?
It's an amazing phenomenon. I said that if in the settlement you got Moscow, St. Petersburg, and thousands of miles around them, they would say, I made a bad deal. The level of hatred and animosity is incredible. Not with all. I mean, we have great people up here. We also have terrible people up there that I think are told what to say. But, you know, in solving all of these wars, they don't even write about it. You know, I saw major wars. I saw wars that have been going on for 31, 35, and 37, and a couple of quicker ones. One that was going to go into a full-blown deal very quickly. You know what the one I'm talking about. It was a big one. But they don't even write about that. No matter what I do, no matter what, and you know, this is not anything to do with you. It's probably to your advantage in a certain way. But no matter what I do, no matter what deal I make, from my standpoint, you'll come out good. Maybe President Putin will come out good. But they'll say, Trump was absolutely horrible. It's just that, and I've lived with that for a long time. I've lived with it since just before the first election. I used to get great publicity. Now I get the worst publicity anyone's ever gotten in office, but I won in a landslide, so that people understand. They're the only ones that count, ultimately. But I've also had great reporters. I've had journalists that are very good. But it's very sad when you do the right thing. As an example, they said, because of the fact that Vladimir Putin came to American soil, this was a tremendous defeat for Donald Trump. No, it was really wonderful that he did it. It was a hard thing for him to do, to be honest with you. It was the opposite of what they said, but they said it. Now, if he didn't come, they'd say that was also bad for Trump. You know, there's no way. And there's just a great dishonesty of the press, and I think that's why it's lost its credibility. You know, its credibility is at an all-time low. We have a thing going on right now in D.C. We went from the most unsafe place anywhere to a place that now friends are calling me up, Democrats are calling me up, and they're saying, sir, I want to thank you. My wife and I went out to dinner last night for the first time in 4 years, and Washington, D.C. is safe, and you did that in 4 days. I'll tell you, it's safe. I had another friend of mine. He has a son who's a great golfer. He's on tour, and he came in 4th yesterday in the big tournament where Scotty Scheffler made the great shot, and he said his son is going to dinner in Washington, D.C. tonight. I said, would you have allowed that to happen a year ago? He said, no way, no way. He said, what you've done is incredible. And I think the people realize it. But the press says, he's a dictator, he's trying to take over. No, all I want is security for our people. But people that haven't gone out to dinner in Washington, D.C. in 2 years are going out to dinner. And the restaurants the last 2 days were busier than they've been in a long time.
Sir,
Thank you.
I walked around yesterday with MTG. If you could walk around with DC with MTG and not be attacked, the city is safe.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week, you warned of what you called severe consequences if a 30-day ceasefire or any type of ceasefire were not agreed to by Russia. Will there be severe consequences? Does that change because of
I
your
don't
meeting
think
with
you need a
President Putin?
ceasefire. You know, if you look at the 6 deals that I settled this year, they were all at war. I didn't do any ceasefires. And I know that it might be good to have, but I can also understand strategically why, well, you know, one country or the other wouldn't want it. You have a ceasefire and they rebuild and rebuild and rebuild, and, you know, maybe they don't want that. But if you look at the 6 deals that we made peace and you know, long-term, long-running wars, I didn't do any ceasefires. Would I like the concept, you know, I like the concept of a ceasefire for one reason, because you'd stop killing people immediately, as opposed to in 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever it takes. But we can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. They have to fight. I wish they could stop. I'd like them to stop. But strategically, that could be a disadvantage for one side or the other. But all of these deals I made without even the mention of the words ceasefire.
President Zelensky, are you disappointed that there's no
explain the
ceasefire?
decision to offer Ukraine Article 5-like security guarantees, but stop short of pushing for their full membership?
Yeah, well, we haven't done anything on that yet. If you look back and you go back long before President Putin, it was always a statement that they would never allow Ukraine into NATO. So that was a statement that was made, but we haven't discussed any of that yet. We're going to be discussing it today. But we will give them very good protection, very good security. That's part of it. And the people that are waiting for us, they are, I think they're very like-minded. They want to help out also.
Thank you, President. Thank you, President Trump.
Are you disappointed there's no
The United
ceasefire,
States,
Mr. President?
the United States has already given hundreds of billions of dollars to this war effort in Ukraine. At best, it is a stalemate, and the killing continues. So, President Trump, how much more is the United States willing to give Ukraine? And President Zelensky, how much more do you want?
Well, I'll start off just by saying we're not giving anything now. We're selling weapons. This is something before, I guess the number is well over $300 billion. That was under Joe Biden, a corrupt politician, not a smart man, never was. By the way, go back 40 years, he was not a smart man 40 years ago either. But now he's in particular bad. This was done by a corrupt administration that shouldn't have been in, and frankly, if the right results of the election were given, if I were president, this war would have never taken place, and he would have been very happy because he would have liked to have seen. I mean, they went through hell. He went through hell. This war would have never happened, and the people that were killed, a couple of million people, a lot of people with soldiers and everything else, and the people that have been displaced and forced into other areas and other countries because of what's happened, none of that would have happened. And I'm just saying that he was a horrible president, whether it was the borders or this. He was just a horrible, corrupt president.
Mr. President,
You want to
I can. Thank you so much. So first of all, we have possibility now to buy weapon from the United States. We are thankful for this program and this opportunity. We are thankful for Europe. They pay for this. And through NATO program, for example, Pearl and etc., we have some programs where we can have some money to finance this. And this is a part, I think. It's not a part for the war and to defend us. It also will be a part for security guarantees, to strengthen our army, to rearm Ukrainian army. This is very, very important. And it depends how much money we need to rearm. For example, the question of air defense, we spoke about it with President Trump, and I'm happy that we have now bilateral decisions and we work on it with production, American production. Nobody in Europe has so many air defense like Patriots, for example. We need it very much, and this is also about defending.
I think the good news, we make the best military equipment in the world by far. You mentioned the Patriots. How good are they?
Yeah, systems.
We
air
have
defense.
systems, they're literally 100% foolproof. And it's really like shooting two bullets, you know, two bullets hitting each other in the air in a space like this. The chances, 100%, it's 99 to 100%. So we sell the equipment to NATO, and NATO does what, I don't know what the arrangement is that you have with, but I know that they want you to have the equipment. And we're getting the best equipment in the world, but they pay us for the equipment. Under Biden, it was just crazy what was going on. I believe the number is over 300. I think it could be $350 billion worth of equipment and money and everything else. And we've made more progress in settling this war in the last 2 months than they made in 4 years. This should have been settled a long time ago, but it should have never happened. Yeah, please.
Real quickly, you pushed out on social media.
All right, Brian, go first.
You pushed out on social media about doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you expand on that and how important that
Well,
is?
that's a very off-topic, just really quickly. Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt. And you know that we're the only country in the world, I believe, I may be wrong, but just about the only country in the world that uses them because of what's happened. Massive fraud all over the place. The other thing we want change are the machines. For all of the money they spend, it's approximately 10 times more expensive than paper ballots. And paper ballots are very sophisticated with the watermark paper and everything else. We would get secure elections. We'd get much faster results. The machines, I mean, they say we're going to have the results in 2 weeks. With paper ballots, you have the results that night. Most people, but most people, many countries use paper ballots. It's the most secure form. So between paper ballots, very, very important, paper ballots, and I think maybe even more important, the mail-in voting. We're going to end mail-in voting. It's a fraud. If you have mail-in vote, even Jimmy Carter with this commission, they set it up. He said the one thing about mail-in voting, you will never have an honest election if you have mail-in. And it's time that the Republicans get tough and stop it because the Democrats want it. It's the only way they can get elected. Because with men and women's sports and with transgender for everybody and open borders and all of the horrible things, and now the new thing is they love crime. They're fighting me on the fact that I've made Washington, D.C. safe. We're not going to get mugged, beaten up, or killed like all the people you've been watching get so badly hurt. I'm glad, I hate to take your time on this, but I'm glad you asked me that question. Sorry. We're going to stop mail-in ballots because it's corrupt. You know, when you go to a voting booth and you do it the right way and you go to a state that runs it properly, you go in, they even ask me, they asked me for my license plate, for identity. I said, I don't know if I have it. They said, sir, you have to have it. I was very impressed, actually. But it's very hard to cheat with mail-in voting. As you know what happens in California, it's so corrupt, where some people get 5, 6, 7 ballots delivered to them. Now, we got to stop mail-in voting, and the Republicans have to lead the charge. The Democrats want it because they have horrible policy. If you have mail-in voting, you're not going to have many Democrats get elected. That's bigger than anything having to do with redistricting, believe me. And the Republicans have to get smart. We're not going to have a country. I said for a long time at rallies, you need borders and you need free and fair elections. Those two things, otherwise you don't have. We have strong borders now. In 90 days, Mr. President, we didn't have 1, 0, 0, and 3 months. Not one person came in illegally into our country. In fact, even I find that hard to believe, but it's run by a little bit of a liberal group that put out the numbers, so I guess it's, but 0, 0, and 0. You go back a year ago, 2 years ago, 3, millions of people poured into our country. It was terrible. Thank you very much.
What security guarantees do you need from President Trump to be able to make a deal? Is it American troops, intelligence, equipment? What is it?
Everything. And really, it includes 2 parts. First, strong Ukrainian army. That's what I began to discuss with your colleagues. And it's a lot about weapon and people and training missions and intelligence. And second, we will discuss with our partners. It depends on the big countries, on the United States, on a lot of our friends.
And Mr. President, are you willing to commit American troops to that NATO-like protection in order to get President Zelensky to a deal today?
Well, I don't know if you define it that way, but NATO-like, I mean, we have people waiting in another room right now. They're all here from Europe, biggest people in Europe, and they want to give protection. They feel very strongly about it, and we'll help them out with that. I think it's very important. I think it's very important to get the deal done.
You've been involved with the peacekeeping in Ukraine since your first day in the administration. What would you say to the Ukrainian people right now who are suffering under the Russian attacks and hoping that the American people will stand with them?
Well, I know Ukrainian people. I've known many over the years. They're great people. They're smart. They're energetic. They love their country. I mean, they love their country, and we want to get this war ended. That's all I can do. I love the Ukrainian people, but I love all people. I love the Russian people. I love them all. I want to get the war stopped. Very important.
Mr. President, was there any aspect of your discussion with Vladimir Putin that left you disappointed?
Look, we just spoke to, I was just telling the president, I just spoke to President Putin indirectly, and we're going to have a phone call right after these meetings today. And we may or may not have a trilat. If we don't have a trilat, then the fighting continues. And if we do, we have a good chance. I think if we have a trilat, there's a good chance of maybe ending it. But he's expecting my call when we're finished with this meeting. Thank you very much, everybody.
Voilà, mesdames, messieurs, bonsoir. Comment nous y est? Comment ça est la caïno? Nous chita là, ça fait un bon bout de temps. Regardez nous pas vrai? T'as coup de garé qui dans le studio, mais c'est pas ça lié. Vous comprenez? Nous là, nous tapons le pas nous. Nous pas de accès pour nous poser des questions nous-mêmes. Nous seulement à suivre à partir des images que nous gagnons par rapport à nos concerts. Et depuis Maison Blanche, nous tapons suivre questions, réponses, échanges entre deux présidents et la presse. Mais ça que nous relayons conférence de presse, s'il vous plaît. OK? Mais ça nous relayons conférence de presse. Deux chefs d'État, Chita, yo bay explication ou bien yo expliquer, yo présenter position yo, plan yo, la presse enchaînée avec yon ensemble, yon courriel de questions. Mais ça nous relaie conférence de presse par définition. Le thème con. OK? C'est pas con comme l'autre ose déclarer et comme nous-mêmes tous, nous toujours disons, il est donc l'un des premiers des cons. C'est pas de con ça que n'a parlé. OK? Donc, je dis, ou t'attendez, deux chefs l'État. Volodymyr Zelensky qui expliquait, il dit remerciement à l'administration américaine, à président Trump, il également exprimé besoin, il dit que toute qualité, il parlait de intention que vous avez pour réaliser l'élection, mais qui pays qui n'a guerre, dans l'état ça, qui t'a pris organiser l'élection. Côté population, ça t'a pris voter en bas de zam. Qui disposition qui t'a pris pour militaires sécuriser bureau électoral pendant qu'il a sécurisé frontières par rapport à ennemi qui ont gagné sous propre terrain pour bataille. OK? Chef l'État américain a déclaré livrer la paix, l'a chercher la paix. Et comme je l'ai posé question, depuis le premier jour qu'il est rentré sous pouvoir, il a parlé de la paix, cependant que sa population irakienne et ukrainienne, pardon, capable d'espérer de lui. Donc, il dit qu'il a cherché la paix, livrer la paix. Est-ce que pour gagner Chita, trois têtes ça que nous avons évoqué, lui-même lui dit, lui capable, lui qui ne doit pas capable. Cela veut dire que c'est une possibilité que lui évoqué et on comprend nos possibilités, lui peut aller dans n'importe quand. OK, possibilité qui doit négative, comme ça qui doit positive. Cela veut dire quoi? Elle fin côté leader européen là, Union européenne et puis il pral relais Vladimir Poutine pour lui dire mon cher, mais qui conversation que me gagné avec Zelensky, d'ailleurs t'étant de t'a parlé, mais ça que il te dit Commonwealth, mais ça que me discuter avec lui qui position. Est-ce que d'accord pour nous chita parler ensemble pour nous faire dire ça que vous demandez en dehors de un cessez-le-feu? Ça yo, c'est point qui pral évoquer après chef l'État américain fin parler avec M. Zelensky ensemble avec les leaders de l'Europe, les représentants de l'Union européenne, côté que yo-même yo vini chita là, dans Maison Blanche chete non room, chef l'État non l'autre room, la parler avec la presse ensemble avec Volodymyr Zelensky. Mais des journalistes, Jean-William Noir était qu'on fait en Haïti. Gen propagandiste tout côté oui. Même dans les grands pays, il y a des journalistes qui cherchent faveur tout bon. Qui ont les têtes à te plus mal que couleuvre la vie. Parce que il y a des bagailles comme on dit, il y a des questions que vous posez dans nos conférences de presse. C'est juste mettez parole dans la bouche monde. Mais journalistes là, journalistes de parti au papa, ils ont en pile.
De tous côtés.
De tous côtés, oui, dans tout pays.
Ils ne peuvent pas empêcher tout.
Non,
c'est
non.
ça, c'est mon dans
Ils vivent comme ça.
Yeah.
On prend ça là. C'est parasite. Ils vivent dépendant de l'autre.
Yeah.
Maman.
Et je me sens que tu veux aller. Oui, on a quitté la discuter là.
Nous quittons là. Quittez là. Il ferme là. Il ferme
la page.
Oui, eh bien bon. Chef l'État qui finit à côté ensemble avec Volodymyr Zelensky, comme nous te connaissons, pas de cessez-le-feu dans la rencontre que le type fait avec Vladimir Poutine. Non. Également dans le ça, pas de cessez-le-feu qui est idée annoncée ou bien discutée, mais il a parlé de un gros deal pour finir avec la guerre là. Mais dans la rencontre pour l'après ça, chef l'État encore, lui fait sensation, chef l'État encore, lui breaking news, lui break the news, côté que lui annoncé, il voulait finir avec Melon Ballot. Ça veut dire que Américains qui à l'étranger ne peuvent pas voter. OK? Militaires américains, ils ne peuvent pas voter. Ah! Faut nous dire ça. Ça veut dire que les qui sont en service, les qui loin pays, comment vous faire voter? Si vous n'êtes pas d'accord avec les malades, comment vous faire voter? Est-ce qu'il y a une mesure, d'ailleurs, c'est toujours mal, pour mettre le résultat ça, les voter à partir de local ambassade qui est à l'étranger?
Il y a des gens qui kokobé, en disant.
Qui handicapé,
qui pas qu'à déplacer, mais qui t'a aimé, qui voulait exercer droit
de citoyenneté.
Voilà.
Bon, ça veut dire que qu'on y a là, sur l'autre combat qui est annoncé. Le chef d'État a dit, République dégage les garçons sur les garçons pour qu'ils finissent avec un ballot. Parce que c'est faute que le dire. Bon.
N'a suivre.
Qui ça n'a résumé encore? Bah ouais, qui ça que me dékembe là, non? Non, je t'ai parlé de ça bien. On a une question qui nous
parle tout de pendant ça fait combien de mois que pas de monde qui rentre
illégal. Oui, il dit pas que 0. Pas de monde qui rentre illégal dans le pays. Dans le dossier immigration, il a bien marché. Et il parlait également de question Washington non, et que nous avons parlé de lui. Washington même, c'est une lettre là qui est vraiment abouillie. Parce que vous imaginez que l'État fédéral là, l'administration centrale, qui a clé toute l'armée pays, il a déjà décidé pour le déployer, juste où il allait. Il a déjà décidé pour le déployer 800 soldats sur le territoire, et puis qu'il y a 3 states qui ont même décidé de renforcer la présence de l'armée dans le state Washington, pendant que l'autorité locale est devant le tribunal. West Virginia, Ohio, South Carolina, il y a un militaire qui sorti dans le state qui est dans route qui parle Washington. Bon, je suis à suivre.
Et nous voulons dire encore bonsoir avec toutes celles là qui branchent.
Alors, Mme Marcelin, welcome back.
Merci.
Tout ça.
Merci, c'est un plaisir. Et tant que vous me dites là, je
tellement nous entrer à plein pied.
À plein pied, alors, le temps est demandé, c'est que nous disons bonsoir avec toutes super branchées Pstars. Nous sommes contents pour nous rejoindre encore. C'est toujours un plaisir. Chaque fois, nous sommes là pour nous capables informer et nous disons merci avec M. Prien qui fait un bon rallye de point de presse ou du moins de conférence de presse qui était gagné. Et entre les deux chefs d'État, et Volodymyr Zelensky et le président Donald Trump. Et nous tendons et nous suivons tout ça bien parce que nous-mêmes nous là pour nous suivre et tirer de de bonnes
conclusions.
conclusions.
Sens là, et puis partager-la avec nous, aider à comprendre. D'ailleurs, nous c'est que nous avons annoncé que nous allons chita sous les pour, c'est ça nous avons le redistricting. Ok, ça qui vient dans Texas là, nous pensons, even que nous parlons de lui, ça fait quelques jours que nous parlons de lui, nous croyons que il y a des gens qui ne comprennent pas.
Voilà.
Parce que maintenant, il y a deux gens qui posent une question. Moi, je viens imaginer si vous avez posé une question.
Peut-être que ce n'est pas deux gens seulement qui ne comprennent.
Ce n'est pas deux gens seulement qui ne comprennent pas pénétrer le sujet.
Voilà.
Donc, nous invitons.
Puisqu'on sait les yeux, ou ses oreilles, ou ses bouches.
Pstars, je ne sais pas moi.
Pstars,
oui. Pstars, bon, me parler. Bon, samedi-là, mais c'est Pstars qui c'est yeux, oreilles. Attendez, moi, tout annoncer nous allons venir avec une série d'explications. Peut-être nous allons faire une ou deux émissions comme ça. Dans ça qui est le census, ou bien recensement, nous allons venir avec lui. Nous te dit que c'est tous les 10 ans que la Constitution américaine lui fait injonction aux autorités établies pour organiser lui dans une période là. Et c'est ça qui fait bataille ça entre démocrates et républicains. Nous avons annoncé que les démocrates ont retourné Texas pour que ils continuent la bataille après qu'ils ont fini un bon petit temps dehors. Il y a des gens qui disent qu'ils étaient marrons, oui, ils étaient dehors, ils ont quitté cette là de telle sorte que pour être infirmés comme non, pour que l'Assemblée n'ait pas réunie pour faire vote ça et que Donald Trump obtienne le résultat.
Eh bien, nous allons faire développement journal là pour vous, même. Président Donald Trump a organisé un lot gros chita parler ou du moins tout getan commencer chita parler ça et en parler ça dans Maison Blanche journée lundi quelques jours après un sommet américano-russe dans state Alaska. Maison Blanche annoncé tout de suite après tête à tête deux chefs l'État yo malgré résultat yo té contesté non té escompté yo pas privé Vladimir Poutine semblait gagner contrôle situation. Nous capable dire pour le moment.
Oui, parce que il a annoncé que tu es capable de sanctions qui prend contre la Russie, et bien pas rien comme sanction qui était annoncé.
Voilà. On va continuer?
Oui.
Eh bien, plus d'informations toujours. Vladimir Poutine a semblé intelligemment changer direction discussion entre Maison Blanche et Kremlin, président Trump a gagné l'idée pour le focus sur yon cessez-le-feu pour moun ka suspendre mourir. Cependant, dans rencontre avec président Poutine là, chef l'État américain yo aller dans même direction avec Vladimir Poutine qui c'est yon accord final sous guerre qui presque gagné 4 ans. Volodymyr Zelensky continue à demander garantie sécurité pour population ukrainienne là sous cause ça. Vladimir Poutine toujours gagne même position sous le président là, Ukraine pas gain droit tourner membre OTAN ou bien Union européenne. Communauté européenne là ensemble avec reste pays ouest yo doit prendre en considération intérêt et sécurité la Russie que yo toujours évoqué.
C'est gros point que Vladimir Poutine t'a énoncé dans la présentation qu'il a fait face à la presse dans le cadre discours qu'il a fait ou bien après chita parlé a je t'ai demandé pays ouest ensemble avec le reste pays d'Europe pour considérer demande la Russie parce que pour lui-même c'est principale raison qui fait que lui a goumé avec Ukraine je dis parce que il estimé que sécurité est en danger et Vladimir Poutine pas d'accord pour que Ukraine vienne membre organisation traité Atlantique Nord OTAN pour lui non plus intégrer l'organisation Union européenne. D'ailleurs, Vladimir Poutine fait comprendre que la paix continue bataille même avec les États-Unis parce que depuis le goumé avec l'OTAN, même si l'Ichita sous table de négociation avec Donald Trump, il a goumé avec les États-Unis également.
Dans ce qui a rapport avec grève que Air Canada lui-même il y a que y a fait kounye là employé grévistes Air Canada yo décidé pour pas respecter décision autorité fédérale yo qui demandé travailler qui en grève yo répondre travail. Air Canada a annoncé y a suspendre vol yo journée dimanche là. Cependant, après disposition travail grévistes yo, compagnie aérienne là décidé pour tout quitter avion yo sous piste aéroport yo malgré intervention gouvernement canadien yo dans crise là yo pas joindre solution à grève employé à compagnie aérienne là.
Oui, et Air Canada Jean que dit en ligue en gros grève cap saccagé là depuis quelques jours, autorités gouvernementales ont intervenu mais ils pas arrivé jeune solution avec employés grévistes. Dans la cour New York, Zoran Mandani qui lui-même continue à dominer sondage dans course pour élire l'autre magistrat dans ville New York là, et bien ville ça qui a dirigé Kounia là par magistrat sorti dans parler de Eric Adams, li devant deux anciens dirigeants la cour New York, à savoir Andrew Cuomo qui était gouverneur state là ensemble avec Eric Adams qui actuellement magistrat sortant dans la cour New York qui connaît là un climat insécurité pendant quelques semaines là il y a pour plus petit 7 personnes qui perdu la vie dans 2 shootings qui fait dans la cour New York puis récemment il fait dans la cour Brooklyn côté que gagné 3 personnes qui perdu la vie avec 11 d'autres qui vivent blessés dans un restaurant, c'était samedi dernier.
Plus d'informations toujours, Brian Schwab, ministre de Justice État Washington là, déclaré que contrôle police Washington DC a toujours arrêté même genre dans mes chefs police local là pour monsieur Robert White, consul président américain abouli citoyen avec autorité locale d'ici Claire, consul maintenant monsieur Phil Mendelssohn lui-même tout pas content avec décision administration fédérale là qui prend décision mettez dans toute la rue Washington militaire armée joue dans dedans avec garde nationale.
Oui, de c'est ça comme nous se dit déjà la fait couler là en pile là que ça livre mon a valer là-dedans parce que gagner là un véritable bras de fer entre autorités locales ensemble avec autorités fédérales après décision que chef d'État a annoncé à travers 2 décrets exécutifs et puis le ministre de Washington qui était annoncé madame Janine Pirot fait comprendre que l'État a décidé pour gagner contrôle l'État fédéral là, alors décidé pour gagner contrôle state Washington là, qui pour eux-mêmes pas en sécurité du tout. D'ailleurs, chef l'État a fait effleurer là, l'État a parlé de ça lorsque journaliste t'a posé la question. Et puis, il faut qu'on ait gagné un WNBA match qui t'a joué par exemple l'équipe Los Angeles qui tombait devant formation Washington. Non, Washington, même s'il y a une sécurité là, mais mesdames, même il a continué au basket parce qu'il fait 95 points.
Il y a plaisir.
Oui, pendant qu'il y a plaisir, il bat l'équipe Los Angeles 95 contre 86.
Eh bien, si nous n'avons rien que nous pas ajouté, nous voulons dire merci avec toutes les branches et Pstars. Nous sommes contents pour nous ensemble avec vous. Et comme nous disons déjà, information pas camper. Et nous croyons que ça nous qui est plus proche là, c'est va Santé Plus.
Oui, Santé Plus à 8h. Si pas rien qui change, Mme Magda à présent dans le studio pour présenter nous Santé Plus. Et puis nous connaissons deuxième partie, deuxième mi-temps. Pstars, Family Support, c'est à 10h.
Et bien, nous disons merci, M. Prien. Merci avec tout le monde. C'était un plaisir. Nous demandons, s'il vous plaît, abonnez, like, commentez, partagez.
Si vous avez ça vous dit.
Kembe map, Kembe, on arrive. Pas la game, pas la guerre, on arrive. Si vous Kembe map, Kembe, on arrive. Pas la game, pas la guerre, on arrive. C'est main en main. My no my, c'est ça que fait nous sembler, aïe aïe aïe, c'est main en main, my no my, c'est ça que fait nous sembler, aïe aïe aïe, on nous fait go combit pour nous planter, et un jour va arriver, n'a récolté, si nous fait go combit pour nous planter, et un jour va arriver, n'a récolté, c'est main en main, my no my. C'est ça que fait nous sembler, aïe aïe aïe, semaine en main, my no my. C'est ça que fait nous sembler.
Aïe aïe aïe.
Si nous semblait, nous yon doit aimer l'autre, nous yon doit supporter l'autre, nous yon kebe l'autre. Ça veut dire si on pas avancer, pas quitter me derrière. Kebe même pour nous avancer ensemble. Merci, nous c'est Pstars FM.